Heyo, OmniDogs and OmniKittens. It's OmniDog, and here's something I don't often do, but I'm giving you an opinion. That's right, on OmniDog's Vault, I'm giving you an OmniDog opinion. And it's about DC Comics and Rob Liefeld. Rob has recently gone on, first, full disclosure, I don't even know if I should be calling him Rob. I don't know the gentleman, never met him. I appreciate his art. Don't know much about him as a writer, but I appreciate his art, respect what he's accomplished in the industry. Um, but he went on to Twitter recently and took a few shots at DC Comics, which I will read to you. Let's see, DC, this is what Rob said on Twitter. This is the date today is, what is today? June 13th, June 14th, June 15th. I'm a little behind. June 15th, 2019. So this is the past couple of days where he said, DC Comics going to drive off a cliff here real soon. Got to get my popcorn. Rob Liefeld. I ain't never seen a company in as much disarray as DC Comics. Thank God they have Batman to act as their Tylenol, aspirin, laughing gas. More Batman will fix it. Laughing eyes tearing up emoji guy, Rob Liefeld. Then Mark Miller said, really, I think it's their strongest lineup since the 80s. All their big characters have really strong teams and all at the same time. Is there something on the horizon? Rob responded, Mark, you're reading your DC Best of the 80s collection again. Happens to me too sometimes. Um, and then he went on to say some other stuff that isn't necessarily germane um, to this discussion. But and then he responded the next day because I guess he got enough negative publicity that he responded by getting off Twitter, which a lot of people do. I'm not taking shots at Rob Liefeld on this because I do have a response. First of all, this is in the United States of America. He's entitled to his opinion. I believe in free speech. So I'm going to definitely let him have that. He's entitled to his opinion, and I believe in free speech. So I'm not going to take shots at him for that. I will say in one case, I disagree that DC Comics is driving off a cliff. They have multi-billion-dollar characters in Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman alone um, that generate multi-billions worth of dollars for them. I think Superman and Batman alone could keep that company afloat for quite a while, and they're not going to do anything to jeopardize those characters, which is probably where some of this comes from. And I'll get into that a little bit later. This is going to be a short opinion. I'm not going to drag this out for half an hour. But DC Comics, I mean, what they've got Flash, they've got Green Lantern, they've got Batgirl, they've got Justice League, they've got Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. I'm not even, all the different Robins, all the different villains. You've got potential hits. You've got Harley Quinn. She's got a big movie coming up with the Birds of Prey, possibly. Harley Quinn. You got Poison Ivy, and Gotham City Sirens coming out soon. So that's got a lot of potential. So they're not, DC Comics is not going anywhere. They've got a lot of potential IP, intellectual property, that is going to keep them afloat. Now, just because they have the intellectual property doesn't mean they're treating it right. So I disagree with Rob Liefeld that they're going anywhere, but I do agree with Rob that it is a company in disarray. DC Comics has definitely been making some problems for itself, and it's not actually DC Comics. It's AT&T. And here's the problem. You've got a company culture now with AT&T at the end of a huge company buyout binge. you had NBC, you had Universal, you had Comcast, you had DirecTV, and then you had AT&T and Warner Brothers in there. AT&T ended up swallowing the whole thing. And now they've got all of these corporate entities under one umbrella. What do they do with it is the question. What's AT&T going to be doing with all these properties now under this one umbrella? The issue is that AT&T with DC does not have the experience with its intellectual properties that Marvel got with Disney. Now, when Disney bought Marvel and it bought the Star Wars properties, everybody was all in an uproar. Oh, Disney's going to take all the spine out of Marvel and take all the fun out of Star Wars. It's like everybody thought in the Disney offices there were little animals running around and animation was alive. Disney's a business company in the first place, and in the second part, they understand intellectual property. That's why Marvel movies and Marvel comics and the Star Wars properties have thrived under the under the Disney model over there, under the Disney umbrella. Marvel and Star Wars have thrived because Disney understands IP, intellectual property. That's the problem DC is having because AT&T doesn't understand intellectual property at this juncture. Does Warner Brothers? Yeah, but Warner Brothers isn't in charge. AT&T's in charge. You've seen how the Marvel Studios have thrived and grown and blossomed. Same with Star Wars under the Disney banner. Will DC get that chance under AT&T? Early results are not good. We've got cuts in the collected edition department and personnel. Now, that is small potatoes to AT&T and to the general public, but it's a big deal to me because that's what I buy. I'm a fan and I buy collected editions. As you can see, this is what I buy, collected editions. I don't buy floppies anymore. Apparently their floppy strategy is good. That's good because you want a healthy DC and you want a healthy floppy market. That's good. Floppies are singles, monthly issues. But they've cut back and had a collected edition department in disarray. They've cut back in that. They've outright canceled solicitations that have been made like a week before. As of right now, they've made some new solicitations that I think are not going to get canceled. I think they've got a handle on it now, but it has been looking increasingly bad. I don't blame anybody in DC for this. All the blame's going to go to AT&T as far as I'm concerned, because these are corporate bean counters who don't have any experience in intellectual property, what it takes for the care and nurturing for a fan base, what it takes to grow and nurture your fan base, what it takes to make sure that you cultivate and take care of your fan base by putting out the best product possible. And that is by putting out the best product possible from what you own and the characters that you own, the books that you own, the books that you're going to put out, the properties that you're going to put out, things like that. AT&T does not have any experience in that. Now, do they own companies that do? Yes. It depends on how much they're going to let those companies have a say in this. Early returns are not good. As I said, collected editions department, not good. The repeated cancellation of solicited books. They did a way overreaction to the Batwang incident in Batman Damned. That was a huge overreaction to that, in the Black Label Batman Damned. Huge overreaction to that. And that is something that you can tell came from up high, from a bird's eye view, not a street level view of what the comic book market looks like, but from up high in a corporate suite. And that's a panic move. What happened with Batman Damned? And that is by somebody that does not understand what's going on with comic books. That's not a good sign. The Tom King ouster on Batman right after he said he was going to take Batman places he had never been before. Boom. Then Tom King gets taken off of Batman and given Batman and Catwoman some kind of mini series that's supposed to sort of assuage him. Not a good move. Doesn't look good. Second Coming, the Mark Russell book that had to do with the Son of God, that just got outright canceled, and they did not even want to hold on to it. They gave it back to Mark Russell, said, "Get this out of our eyesight." Mark Russell is now free to take it wherever he wants to go with it, and they just gave it right back to him. Don't even want to deal with it. Swamp Thing and Doom Patrol on this new DC app, the DC Universe app. Admittedly, both were bright shining stars on that DC app, that DC Universe app. I didn't get to see either one of them, but I was waiting for Swamp Thing to come out, and I wanted to see a second season of both of those before I committed to my money to that app. Neither one has been renewed. Swamp Thing got its season chopped from 14 episodes to 10. They blamed it on a rebate that's being held up by the state of North Carolina. I don't believe that for a second. They blamed that. I just don't believe that. What happened was Swamp Thing cost too much. They panicked. The corporate bean counters panicked. They cut the season down, and then they canceled the second season because it cost too much. It had nothing to do with a tax rebate. What am I basing that on? Absolutely nothing but my own gut feeling. If I had a source, I'd quote it to you right now. If I had any sources, I'd totally quote them to you. This is strictly my opinion. I don't believe for a second that it had anything to do with a tax rebate. A multi-hundreds and hundreds of billion-dollar company is worried about a tax rebate from a state? I don't think so. I think that they panicked, and that Swamp Thing was just not allowed to breathe and be given the chance to grow a fan base. It wasn't given a chance to become a series because these guys are inexperienced. These AT&T guys are inexperienced at creating any kind of television that maybe a Netflix could have done a good job with. Give Netflix a chance, and maybe this becomes a 3-season hit. AT&T doesn't have the experience, and they certainly have the personnel underneath them if they had given them the chance. But I don't think the bean counters at AT&T know what they're doing when it comes to intellectual property. And instead, they go with the safe choice with this Titans, because Batman's going to show up in it, and they renew that when that had lukewarm response. But they know Batman's going to show up in it, so they gave that another season. And then they think people are going to be paying $17 a month for this Warner Brothers streaming service. I think that's a mistake, and that's based on fact that I'm a consumer. The source is me and my wallet. That Disney app for $7 a month, that streaming service is getting my attention. That's based on a fact. Vertigo being folded into Black Label. Vertigo has some creator-owned content. Vertigo hasn't been important for a few years now, but it has had its own historical impact, creator-owned content, and now it's being folded into Black Label. I'd like to know what's happening with Young Animal. I haven't heard a thing about Young Animal. The the Vertigo kind of namesake creator content thing that Gerard Way had. Don't know a thing about that. It hasn't been given any support. So I think DC has a lot of problems. Are they insurmountable? No. They can be fixed, but it's time for the IP guys to get in charge of AT&T. It's time to move the coat and tie guys out and say, who's important to you guys? Who is important to a company that lives and thrives on IP stuff? Fans. Fans, that's me. People like me. There's hundreds of millions of me's around the planet. These are planet-wide properties. There's millions of me in China just alone. You are going to, DC, you are going to have to get your act together and make fan-friendly decisions. You're going to have to start making fan-friendly decisions and make some decisions that aren't based on the bottom line, but will pay off on the bottom line in the future by making some fan-friendly decisions. And that is improving your collected edition department, making things so that creators, writers, and artists are supported no matter what they do, making sure they're paid well, like a Vertigo type creator, giving creators a chunk of the action under a Vertigo type series. Don't overreact to things, and things like Batman Damned and Second Coming. Support your creators and support your fans. Don't worry so much about the bottom line, because fans are the ones who make your bottom line. We're the ones who make your bottom line. And if we don't see a product worth getting, we're not going to get it. It's that simple. So multiply me by like a few million, and this is what you're dealing with. So this is not a lecture. This is an opinion, but it's also a promise that you need to put out a product that is fan-friendly, creator-friendly, fan-friendly, and not corporate bottom line friendly, to invest in the future. And that is how you make fans. And that is how you're going to make profits in the future. Look to the Marvel Disney model. That is how you're going to make it. That is exactly how you're going to make it. Not going along the way you're going along now. And that is OmniDog's opinion for today. Thank you for tuning in. Leave your comments. Hit the like button. Feel free to subscribe. Rob Liefeld, I think you're right. Peace and love. Peace and love.